Auckland City, those embarrassing little slugs from New Zealand, got a point.
I can't believe it.
How about that against Boca Juniors?
Boca Juniors, who needed to smash them.
I mean, it's not as if like it was like a minnow.
Yes.
You know, this was like a Rara Reds or something. Do you know what I mean? It was fucking Boca Juniors.
Who needed a result?
Well, we've already been absolutely smashed twice, and now we've got to play these Argentinian
Bloody
psychopaths. Oh, this might be quite hard, actually. But no.
How many are they going to score? 8, 9 or 10? Sorry, everybody.
Yeah, you better be. I mean,
Jim started it.
good. I mean, good God, like that goal could be worth $1 million this year,
And
Wow.
he should get it.
and he should keep it. Yeah,
He's a trainee teacher. He can suck that off.
yeah.
Well, for a bit.
Yeah.
Well, how much does £1 million go in New Zealand?
Well, it's long enough to find. It buys you time to do something different.
It depends if it's Australian dollars.
I believe they call them dollary doos.
Dollary dues. Sorry, dollarinos. Yeah.
And they're not. New Zealand's not a part of Australia.
No.
Anymore.
True. Do you not think
It
that,
never was.
Yeah. Do you not think that?
Sorry, everyone.
Being called Christian Grey, the teacher, he'll only spend it on whips, won't he?
Oh yes.
Dirty little blighter.
Dirty little sod.
Dirty little blighter.
My goodness, Christian Grey.
Christian Grey.
Great, I've not made that connection.
Aren't a lot of rich Americans buying the sort of the golden visas or whatever in New Zealand?
Oh right, yeah.
There's
So
all
they
that
just
sort
hang
of
out.
thing.
And
yeah.
Noel Edmonds
Noel
has a pub
Edmonds.
out there, doesn't he?
Yeah.
It's increasingly becoming a really weird place.
So
And it's not the fault of anyone in New Zealand.
Yeah, but I'm just warning Christian Grey. You put that money into, stopping these people, whatever they're up to. They're up to something.
Don't spend $1 million trying to thwart billionaire. You'll get through it in half an hour.
That's a knife to a gunfight, Marcus.
It's a knife to a helicopter fight, isn't it? Well, well done, Auckland.
It was brilliant because, Boca had so many shots in this game.
40
shots.
Big VAR
40
call
shots.
as well, handball.
Yeah. And they were kind of knocking on the door a lot, but I expected more energy from them, to be honest. And maybe it's just that time of day, the heat means it's simply impossible to give it that kind of energy that you need.
The game was suspended, of course, for a little while due to a thunderstorm in the area. It was the All England Club Wimbledon-esque, Pete.
It was.
Yeah, I mean,
Quite
if there's lightning apparently in a 30-mile radius of the stadium, they must pause the game for 30 minutes from the last strike that happens in that area. It's the same for sort of metal walkways going to flights. I've been delayed a couple of times.
Really?
I've actually had a flight cancelled because I had to come back the next day.
That's
In
frustrating.
Texas because there was a thunderstorm seen 30 minutes away,
Yeah.
30 minutes ago.
I mean, it kind of makes sense, although you would be a bit like, go on, I'll make that.
Could you? You would just get me on.
Just
like
rubber-
the planes are insulated. Just
rubber me up.
Rubber me up.
Well, you probably you often take your rubber suit with you.
I
wherever
do,
you
yeah.
go.
It's just safe sex, isn't it?
Oh, I don't know. Well, it was a nice header from Mr. Gray.
It was.
Who scored the corner came in. He was. They were delighted.
Just shrugged off his marker, who,
Yeah.
as a professional, will be gutted.
Yes,
Because that
Yeah.
man's a teacher.
it's 3
He
shots they
got
had.
taught
Auckland.
something that day.
They did. But I mean, bear in mind, let's just remind ourselves, 10-0 against Bayern, 6-0 against Benfica, where they held out for a bit against Benfica. And everyone's thinking, hang on, what are you playing at there? And then Boca, as you say, needed a result.
Yeah.
But it's a great
And
point.
Boca's goal was a bit naff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
it
the
was.
keeper probably could have done a bit better there. And it's
Yeah.
just kind of like, well, they could have won that.
Yeah. Well, when the final whistle went, it cut to the goalkeeper who had his head in his hand, and I thought it was the Boca keeper. It wasn't. It was the Auckland City goalkeeper who was just like, I can't believe we've done this.
Yeah.
It was beautiful stuff.
You would think that prior to the game, after the 2 results they'd have, they're thinking, it'd just be great to get a goal.
Yes.
It'd be really great to get a goal. To get a point as well is brilliant.
It's lovely. They don't go away empty-handed. And does anybody at the Club World Cup, quite
Oh,
frankly?
my heart is full.
Yes.
And yeah, it's a really terrible, really good tournament that I hate, that I'm really enjoying.
Yeah, I think you've summed it up quite well
It's
there.
confusing.
Well, even if Boca had won, it wouldn't have mattered because Bruno Lage's Benfica were giving it large against Bayern, and they topped the group by beating them 1-0. Bayern had already qualified, so Vincent Kompany made 7 changes, but it wasn't enough. He needed to do more changes because they lost 1-0. Is that how it works? The game was played at 36 degrees Celsius, and some of Bayern's players who weren't featured just stayed in the changing room during the game.
Yeah, imagine
You
like
think you must be mad.
imagine like kind of because you would
Just
imagine
in the shower.
You'd imagine a lot of like the dugout would be air conditioned anyway, so I don't know why they would be particularly using that excuse.
It's
wouldn't they?
outside.
Yeah, you're still in the
Peter.
sun,
I know
aren't
it's
you?
still outside.
This is
but
like
I mean,
Silo.
Wear a nice big
you,
hat.
you don't go outside if you don't have to.
Or a big Crocodile Dundee hat with the corks and stuff.
You might obscure the view of someone behind you.
That's a good point, actually. That's a good point. You got to think.
Not with I suppose not with a Crocodile Dundee hat. Although, why would you need the corks?
No, I don't. Well, I don't know.
It's just an aesthetic, isn't it?
Aesthetic,
That's what I mean. Jim.
But imagine trying to sort of if you're a fringe concern at Bayern Munich or a youth team player, and you're coming on to prove yourself to Volkswagen Company in that heat, you're like, fuck off. Give us an easier set of conditions, please.
Do you think that was
Where
a
we
test?
play in hell? What have I got to prove?
Is it a test though? Because company said, if you're not involved, because maybe it was a fringe pro or two, then you can stay inside.
Yeah.
No, I've noted that.
I've noticed.
This is a Brendan
stayed.
Rodgers
Depends
envelope
what you're doing
situation.
inside, isn't it? I suppose.
Well,
It's a good point,
presumably-
actually. They could be watching iPads,
Exactly.
shots of like the next opponents.
Just that,
We're doing the research.
They come back. How'd you get on?
Yeah, exactly.
Did you not even have the DAZN app
I was about to
downloaded, lads?
say,
Come on.
There's no excuse here. You can sign up for free.
We've been playing Uno.
Yeah,
Did we
there was-
win?
it's too
Oh,
much-
we didn't.
Mind you, when we went to Wembley, I remember I tested all of the plug sockets because I wanted to. And
You say
some of
that as if you went around the whole ground.
Well, no, yeah. No, in the changing rooms, in
Yes.
the home changing rooms, I think we were in doing
Yes.
a show about the FA Cup. I think it was
FA Cup, yeah.
And some of the plug sockets didn't work because each player gets an individual
Yes.
single plug socket.
I remember- I was
some of them
wondering-
didn't work.
wondering
So
what you were doing there.
So maybe they're in a situation where they could sort of say, well, my phone ran out of battery.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
couldn't
yeah.
watch the match.
It's good of you to rewire it for free.
I know. Yeah, it's got involved.
Yeah, exactly. That's the way you do it. Yeah, apparently some of the Dortmund players did the same at the weekend as well. Just stayed inside, which, yeah.
Can you not find them a little kind of executive box to sit in rather than the changing room?
And then like zip wire down if you brought on.
Yeah.
I don't know. They've got. We'll be back next summer for the World Cup, everybody.
And there's nothing that will be any different because the problem is the weather.
Is the weather,
There's
yeah.
literally nothing you can do about that.
Which is getting hotter year on year and
Yeah.
more unpredictable and more lightningy, let's say.
At least the Qataris gave us the false promise of. I don't know if it actually came from them about the clouds. The remote control
the cloud
clouds,
seeding,
remote
yeah.
control clouds that they would
Chemtrails.
just put them over the stadium, and then they thought, you know what, it's in the best interest of everybody to move this to December,
Yeah.
November,
Which
December.
is still
Are you
difficult.
saying we should have another Winter World Cup in the US, Mexico, and Canada?
Doesn't it get to like minus 20 in places in the US?
Yeah, Colorado.
Yeah,
Those
you weren't
Colorado
calling for
matches will
that.
be fun.
Yeah, I think an autumn World Cup.
Oh, an autumn World Cup in Scandinavia, maybe.
Why Scandinavia?
Just because it'll be particularly autumnal.
Yeah, but they don't have the facilities or the design.
I don't care about that. That'll
Have
be
you got a Starbucks? Get me a Starbucks latte in. Let's play.
Oh dear. Well, Bayern faced Flamengo, who drew 1-1 with LAFC in their final group stage match last night. Benfica will play Group D runners-up Chelsea. They beat Esperance Tunis 3-0, and Liam Delap scored his first goal for Chelsea.
That's impressive stuff.
He's up and running.
You've joined a new club. You've scored your first goal before pre-season. Who else can say that?
Nobody.
Probably
A
literally no one.
A
I don't think
competitive
so.
goal before pre-season. Lovely.
Is this a major trophy? If Harry Kane wins this with Bayern, has he got 2 major trophies to his
Yeah,
name?
surely it has to count as a major trophy.
Yeah, I don't.
Whatever we think of it,
I think it does.
it's
It'll be
a
up
full
there at the-
tournament. It has to.
Yeah, it must.
Where's
do.
it getting placed on the Transfermarkt website where you got the little logos of the?
I still think it would be below the Europa League.
Oh, do you think so?
Yeah.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
With
This
all
is
this
why they
money
wanna do it.
sloshing around.
This is why they want to do it every 2 years, isn't it? Because it will make it more prestigious.
Right.
I think it's the opposite of a World Cup.
More-
It's like
more-
the more often you do it, the more
Well,
the more people will be invested in it. And yeah, let's hope they don't. I'm sure they will.
Well, what did you think of Chelsea, though, Jim? I said that they needed a reaction. They gave us that reaction.
They did.
beat
They-
an inferior side 3-0.
Yes, they're playing Esperance Tunis.
Yeah, who gave them a helping lack of hands from
Right.
the goalkeeper, I would say.
I mean-
Goalkeeper was terrible on 2 of those goals.
Delap's goal, it was a nice feat, and I thought the finish was very composed. And then I thought, I understand the keeper was slightly off balance, but I mean, he will think to himself he might have done better.
Yeah, I might have moved
Yeah.
in any sense.
True enough. Well, they progressed to the knockouts, meaning they've already made $49.5 million from the competition.
It's a big.
Not too shabby, Peter.
It's not bad for the transfer kitty, is it? Depending on bearing in mind how many kind of movements at Chelsea shuffle off and shuffle on.
Yeah. They could
during
get
the close season.
Jadon
but-
Sancho back for half season. for that.
Get Sanchez back. But yeah, I mean that it kind of doesn't game the Premier League season, but it does allow Chelsea to sort of stick their heads a little bit higher than a couple of their, the players, the teams that they're facing off against in the kind of Champions League set, so to speak.
Well, they already have a huge amount of money available to them from having essentially sold themselves their women's team and some of the other things that they've done. And obviously they make a lot of money in the transfer market as well. But this on top of that.
Well, the money that they've made from this tournament may not be scrutinised in the way that some of the other funds they've raised.
I don't think it was scrutinised at all.
Confusing.
Selling themselves their own women's team and all that kind of stuff.
And it's just fine.
Yeah.
Lovely, clean money.
The ridiculous thing about it is no one's voting against it because they're like, well, maybe we'll have to do that in the future. Just let them do it.
It's very silly. But, they've made 49.5 million quid from the competition. Fair play to them. They could make more, Peter, should they progress. That's how it works.
That's how it works. It just goes up and up and up. Well, it looks like they were, getting bombed out of the competition, but they still would have made a hell of a lot of cash anyway. So, yeah.
Simple sums that Christian Grey of Auckland City will be teaching his pupils.
As I understand it, it's $1 million a header.
There you go. Lovely old job. Well, Atletico Madrid won't be making any more money from the Club World Cup, despite them beating Botafogo 1-0. They've crashed out the Club World Cup.
They have been to war in the most Atletico Madrid style possible in these 3 games.
That 4-0 defeat at PSG screwed them.
Did.
It really did. And it's a funny one because before the tournament, their president, Enrique Cerezo, said, this is the most important tournament we will play in 4 years.
Well, it's an opportunity for them to get a bit of a financial leg up, isn't it?
They'd rather win the Champions League, Jim.
Sure, of course they would, but when you're competing with Barcelona and Real Madrid, any kind of advantage you can get over even one of them, even when they're skint and keep pulling financial levers and it keeps working, is a huge advantage, right? So I do see what he's saying there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, okay. I mean, yeah.
It's a generous reading of it.
It is. I mean, being able to do basic arithmetic puts you at more of an advantage than Barcelona. Again, they just don't seem to understand how subtraction works.
And yet they're the champions.
I know. And they managed to bring players in. Well, Atletico Madrid have been quite creative in setting up a supporters club in outer space. The message on social media was quite stunning, this really.
Yeah.
It was saying...
Sorry about bombing out the Club World Cup, but look at this.
Well, it said that we have supporters all over the world, but not just the world, even further in outer space. And then said the first Spanish man in space is an Atletico Madrid fan. And we value all our fans from Chicago to Tokyo and da-da-da-da-da. And we've set up a supporters club in outer space, and I quote, with headquarters in a real star. So the base is set in a star in the Ursa Major constellation, a.k.a. the Big Dipper, a.k.a. the Plough. And Ursa Major in Latin does mean the greater bear, and of course they have a big old bear licking that thing on their badge.
Suddenly it makes sense.
Yeah, so you were about to take the piss out of this, Jim. Are you going to row back before you do that?
I'm not, no, because the way they've announced this suggests that there's like a supporters bar.
You can go
floating around up there. Yeah, that you can visit it whenever you want.
Space
And there's a Spanish astronaut who sort of like usher you in. Like, it's ridiculous. It's just meaningless nonsense.
It's totally... I know what you mean.
An AI video, just good stuff.
It's bollocks. It's complete bollocks.
With an American voiceover as well for some reason.
Yeah. It's international.
Yeah.
I think that had they have put it on a planet, and it's like a little hut...
Yeah,
that any billionaire Atleti fans can go and see it. I think that is a pile of wank, but it's something.
Yeah.
Could they not just land a? Could they not just land a craft on some planet, probably not as far away as that one,
right?
And just have a screen, solar powered or otherwise, that is just constantly broadcasting Atleti TV.
I mean, that
would be a touch, wouldn't it?
If they'd made it to the knockout, maybe they'd have had the budget.
Maybe they'd have
had to scale back.
Yeah. Where would you put the Ramble Supporters Club?
In space, or
yeah,
just
like
in
what planet would you choose?
Clever,
yes,
clever.
because then people could access it.
People could come.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure DAZN are on. You don't have to. You're fine. You still got the free login.
I would go for the stinkiest planet of all,
which is
the hydrogen sulfide rich, rotten egg smelling Uranus. How do I know? Because they know that hydrogen sulfide stinks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it might smell sweet out there. Take your helmet off, you coward, and prove it.
What? There's a planet.
It's delicious.
I think Venus rains sulfuric acid, doesn't it?
Yeah,
So maybe
that's unwelcome, isn't
When
it?
you say I think, it's like I've done the sums.
Yeah, I can't remember whether it was Venus or
Have you read
Neptune.
that or not? Just
Yeah, well, I can't remember which planet it was.
right. Stop
Neptune-
passing it off as your own.
Yeah, Venus.
I'm not passing it off as my own. I'm not claiming to have been travelling around the universe and going, oh yeah, when I was in Venus it was raining sulfuric acid.
You did a gap.
Like you talking about South America.
You did a gap year
Yeah.
in Venus, didn't you?
Yeah.
Doing your battle nut.
Oh dear. Well, at least I've got photos.
Yeah, you shooting a Kalashnikov at a cow.
Yeah.
That was in Vietnam.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just one cow.
But you did have a dog with trousers on and a little phone in
Yeah,
his pocket.
true.
So
Right,
that is really good.
good point.
It's better than any of my photos of Venus.
Back on board.
There we go. Right, back into the Club World Cup. PSG, of course, who were in the same group as Atletico Madrid. They beat Seattle Sounders 2-0 to finish top of the group. So they and Botafogo go through.
Yes.
Yeah, so Pete, you're happy with your new adopted black and white boys going through. And PSG, the underdog, we can all get behind there as well. Now, Luis Enrique criticised the pitches at the Club World Cup, saying the ball bounced like a rabbit. But Jude Bellingham has also criticised the pitches, saying the ball barely bounces.
Well, which one is it?
what
Does
is
it
it?
bounce really high or does it barely bounce at all?
So
Boys?
someone's lying.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's different state to state. But the pitches are being criticised. I tell you something. This is as a much younger. Well, I wasn't a man; I was a boy during the World Cup in USA '94. I don't remember all this kind of chat. I remember the chat about the temperature. Of course, next year it's going to be. Is it going to be chaos, or is it? I don't know what's going to happen.
Have you heard Harry Kane talking about it?
Yeah.
He keeps saying like, this is actually really useful for me and all the England boys, just because we've got an idea of what it's going to be like next year. It's like, that is a positive spin that I like.
Very positive. But there are other players from other international teams who are also going to know. So again, it's a leveller.
Yeah.
But it's going to be mad. And then you've got, what would it be in Mexico City? Is a little bit of altitude, I think. So you've got, I don't know, it's going to be crazy.
It's going to be crazy. But I mean, it sounds very much like, Luis Enrique and also Jude Bellingham would enjoy the Club World Cup on Mercury because third of the gravity, no atmosphere. The ball's going to absolutely ping about like old Billy-o.
True.
So get yourself to Mercury, guys.
Like the Jabulani.
Yeah, like the Javelani.
And with some Argentinian football fans and Brazilians up there, you could get an atmosphere.
Yeah, correct.
Now, now, chaps, I believe you're both dressed
This is
in
a
pink.
this is a picky tea of a show, isn't it?
Isn't
this
it?
is a picky
Yeah.
tea.
Well, I
What's for
believe
dinner? Everything.
it's like
Get it in the air fryer.
This is our Rodizio. Now, I believe, gentlemen, you're both wearing pink today to celebrate the fact that Inter Miami have gone through to the knockouts as well. They drew 2-2 with Palmeiras, of course, and that was enough for them to make sure they're there. And it was lovely to see Luis Suarez scoring in the 2-2 draw with Palmeiras.
Yeah.
It was. If the keeper got something on it, and I thought it would have been more impressive if the keeper hadn't got anything on it, but it was a lovely goal.
It was a good hit.
It was a good hit.
It was. He sort of not stumbled, but he got there was a few ricochets on his
Yeah,
way
definitely.
through, and then it wasn't quite the angle he would have wanted. And I think it was like, just get in there.
For the Miami opener, there was a foot race like you wouldn't believe up the field, and one of the Palmeiras defenders, one of the Palmeiras defenders just went down in the most fuck this kind of a way.
I think like one of his muscles just went in the wrong direction, didn't it? And that looked like an injury.
Think in trying to get back, he bowed out of the tournament. That was him. That was poor bloke.
Proper football match though. Enjoyed this immensely.
Now, over 60,000 people turned out for the game at the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. Come on, that's what this
It was
tournament's about.
rocking.
Yeah.
The Hard Rock bloody stadium was rocking. It was.
That's what Infantino wanted. And that's what that man deserves. A big stadium and Inter Miami going through. And he's been vindicated because he basically invited them because of Messi. They're there, but they're through to the knockouts, Jim. So people like you have a big old slice of humble pie to gobble down today.
I'll eat any pie.
With
you know that.
Mama's cream.
Any cream.
Hot
Why not?
pie cream.
Yeah.
Have we got a new sponsor that you're introducing?
Yeah, Mama's hot pie cream.
Okay.
Served up by Infantino himself with a big smile on his face.
And I
Salt
shall
Bae be there?
speed. Yeah, Salt Bay's in the kitchen cooking up some Mama's hot pie cream, and I shall speed turns up and he throws it in your face and goes
There you are.
and then there's a backflip.
Well, I guess I still get to have some, don't I? It's on my face. So yeah, I'm in.
Okay,
Yeah,
fine.
it's not what you would have
Is
envisaged,
it,
but fine.
as you're licking it off your fingers, you're like, "Is this Mama's hot pie cream?" and I shall speed goes, "Yes, it is! Yeah, he got it right."
Then he does a backflip.
And then we're all better for it.
Yeah,
well, Lionel Messi will face his former club PSG in the next round.
Not just Messi, with the kind of reunion going on as well, because obviously Luis Enrique managed him, Suarez, Busquets, and Jordi Alba.
Yes.
At Barcelona. So that's a little bit of narrative.
David Beckham as well.
David Beckham as well.
He's been involved with both clubs.
Yeah.
But Messi, how about this? Messi's never failed to reach the knockout stage of any tournament he's played in for club and country. 33 tournaments.
That is quite something.
And I understand he's played the vast majority of his career at Barcelona and then at PSG
And Argentina.
And Argentina. This was the test. This was, and he's done it.
This is Sterner's
Done it
test,
again.
yeah.
It's been a while since we've had a new Messi stat, and this is what it's taken. Let's be honest, they didn't even qualify.
Yeah.
Not through any route that makes any sense.
No, that's right. That's right. Elsewhere in the group, Porto played a very entertaining 4-4 with Al Ahly, but that meant both teams were eliminated from the tournament. So another European giant has gone. Pete Donaldson.
Goodbye.
It's quite an interesting little snapshot, this, isn't it? Because some of these games where you're not quite sure what the level is from one country to another have thrown up these really, really interesting ones. An Egyptian team and a Portuguese team playing out of 4-4 is like, it's very hard to predict that was going to even be a possibility.
Yeah, and as well for fans in this country or this time zone, if you're going to stay up to watch some of these games, you want 8 goals.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? You think, okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Or whatever
Monster
time.
energy drink.
Yeah.
It's been worth it.
It's been entertaining games,
been entertaining.
gentlemen.
It has been good.
Everyone just calm down.
As kind of the tournament's underway and stuff, seeing some of the entrants like LAFC and Salzburg as well in some ways, it does seem really odd on the ground, doesn't it? So
It does
I wonder
a bit,
if they'll address that before the next one.
Yeah.
Just
What they'll do with
Barcelona, you've not qualified. You fucking have.
Yeah. We want you in.
have.
Yeah. The qualification process will be very interesting next time round, especially if it's 48 teams. It will just be, we'll have them.
Who fancies a payday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Baller League, get in there.
All that bollocks. All right, coming up after this, John Textor sells up at Crystal Palace and Alejandro Garnacho's been a naughty boy.
Hutchinson, his first touch isn't great, but he's still going. And it is another penalty for Sligo Rovers. He did catch him, I think, Declan. And an opportunity for Sligo Rovers to take the lead.
Outside the shagging box. Excuse my French.
Welcome back to the Football Ramble, everybody.
Shagging every morning on the Ramble.
Yes.
Recently, it seems.
Are you ready to talk about Manchester United?
I am, yes.
Yes, Manchester United. Infantino will find a way to get them at the next Club World Cup, won't he?
Definitely.
It's like, what, 2 15th place finishes back-to-back in the Premier League and no European football this season. How have they qualified for the Club
Maybe
World
that's
Cup?
what they'll do. Infantino will be like, for the next qualification process, we'll tell you how it works when the season is finished. Just chuck whoever they want in there.
That's right, yeah. Well, Jim, enough of that Club World Cup bollocks. I want to talk about who may and may not be playing for Manchester United next season. Alejandro Garnacho. Is he going to be there?
Doesn't look like it.
No, he seems to be angling for a move. He posted a picture, I'm sure a lot of you saw this the other day, of himself on Instagram wearing a Marcus Rashford Aston Villa shirt.
I mean, it's like there's angling
You
for a move.
antagonistic little sod.
But it's sort of like poisoning your own well, isn't it?
Yes.
Like, because you need a move, and like, what does that signal to the teams that are interested in you? What does that show about the type of character you're going to be in the dressing room?
That you respect
when
your
the chips
colleagues,
are down?
that you love your colleagues very much, and will support them in whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if, he'll be coming back. He's only on loan to Villa. He's still a Man United player, thus we can never forget him.
The annoying thing is, like, he won't have gone into Sports Direct himself to do that.
No.
And so one of his assistants would have done that. And they've absolutely done themselves over there, because if he gets a move, that assistant will have to move to wherever he goes.
Was it his brother who's his agent?
I'm sure he doesn't go to Sports Direct for
Oh, no.
I'm sure he's got an underling, a minion, if you will.
I would
I'd be
assume-
for in that heat as well. In
True.
sweaty old wicking Aston Villa shirt.
Yeah, but I would assume that, Peter, that he's got somebody to do it for him. Yeah. And yet, when we see some of the stuff he puts out on social media, I'm thinking that there's not much wisdom going into his brain.
People will do anything for him, but they won't make him question why he's asking them to do it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I understand it's a difficult situation that he may not want to. Clearly, he doesn't want to be there.
It's like he's trying to drive his own price down.
Yeah. Well,
maybe that's
he doesn't give a damn, does he?
No, I guess
he doesn't give a damn.
Obviously, he doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, and Rashford replied to the post by saying, "My brother." So I honestly,
Why don't all of these sort of bombed out players just become
Another
like
team.
a little five-a-side team?
yeah,
Just take on the best five-a-siders in the world.
I've no doubt they would. Well, United are still holding out for a £60 million fee for Garnacho.
There's no. I think there'll be a lot more suitors than you think they're going. Actually, there's no reason
his
why
wages are a fair bit lower than say
Right,
Rashford
well-
and Sancho, for example.
But there's no reason why a 20-year-old Garnacho should have been leading the line, and all of that being on his shoulders. I've said it before on the show. There's no reason why he should have been in charge of that.
But then he didn't
Manchester
play
United
that much,
forward.
though. I think that's what's rubbed him up the wrong way, though. Peter.
Yeah.
I think that yes,
A lot of weight on a young man's shoulders.
there was, and I think Ten Hag put a more faith in him than say Amorim did at times. And there was that time when he scored and he didn't celebrate because he felt like he'd got a bit of stick from the fans and
Right,
stuff. Which again is for a young man that must be tough to take. Something that we'll never understand, of course. Amorim though's come in, and I think the way Amorim plays, I'm not sure that would suit Garnacho, and clearly doesn't fancy him that much. I mean, in the Europa League final, McCoist was doing his head in on commentary saying just get him on at half time. You know, it was too little, too late. Ultimately, he's a player with a bit of quality. I think we can all see that.
He's only 20.
Yes,
You know,
exactly.
That's really. It's easy to forget how young that is because how early we
nothing,
see
isn't
some players break through now. But he's got huge talent. There's a lot of players in that Man United squad where you think, what has happened to them? They come in with a big reputation and suddenly they look like they're just bereft of confidence and ideas and nothing seems to come off or work. Garnacho is one of the few where that's not the case. So I think someone's going to get a really, really good player there.
Yeah.
And be interesting to see if he stays in the Premier League because you feel like he could come back to haunt them.
Yeah, I could, as you said, Jim, I could see him at Atletico Madrid.
Oh, absolutely. Perfect fit.
He'll get loaned out and
Should
he'll-
have gone to Napoli, shouldn't he? Should have gone to Napoli in January.
Yeah.
It would have been perfect.
He'll get loaned out and he won't be allowed to play against Manchester United.
Yeah. Well, speaking of loans, apparently Barcelona, according to the Times, are reportedly interested in taking Marcus Rashford on loan.
Right.
That's
okay.
even if they sign Nico Williams, isn't it, apparently?
Oh, goodness knows, Jim. Yeah, it's always they put out the feelers and so on, but that's what
Put out the levers.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
Is that a step too far? Because he'll find someone who'll pay a percentage of his wages. Barcelona will presumably be in the same boat as every other team who wants to.
Oh, they're
loan
probably
him.
like 25% of his wages.
Yeah, so I mean that's more of a story than him being loaned out to I don't know Brentford or something. So
Yeah, I
don't think Man United politically would go for that.
But well, as I said on the previous pod, it will be like a game of poker. Who's going to wait? A Manchester United going to wait for the window to close and then go, crap, nobody bought him, and we've got a player here now who is on record as saying he's done at Manchester United. The manager doesn't want him here, and he's just picking up an enormous amount of wages. This is no good for anybody. Whereas you take the deal where it is say at 25% or 50%, whatever it is, a percentage, and you think it's hardly ideal, but we are saving ourselves, $100 grand or 150 grand a week or something like that. Which with Sir Jim Ratcliffe, that is like Christmas time, isn't it?
But Man United should be a bigger concern than loaning out players. He'll get that money somewhere else, and someone will come in for him.
I don't think
if he has a good season wherever he goes, that's what I'm saying.
But Villery showed something. I think that with Rashford, I think that is this question of the wages. I mean, Jadon Sancho, that's a question there. But then there's reports that Jose Mourinho wants him to come to Fenerbahce. Now that, to me, would be, there's a suitor there who probably could pay wages or a certain fair whack of them as well. And there's still a pull of Mourinho, I would have thought. With some players, and it is it's not the best league in Europe, but it's a proper league. It's not like going to Saudi, for example. So I wonder if that's something. But do check out the mailbag that we did yesterday because we spoke quite a bit about Sancho and Rashford on there. Manchester United have improved a bid to sign Bryan Mbeumo. They've gone up to sort of 60 million. It was 45 million plus add-ons up to 10 million. So they've gone that little bit further.
I thought it had already happened.
Well, I think this is the trouble with transfers, isn't it? It's reported and it's going to happen and so on and so forth. Because Vish said he was incredibly excited about Bryan Mbeumo going
That was
to
about 2 weeks ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly, Jim. Yeah,
I think these things take ages to get ready, don't they? And it's when you see a transfer rumour that involves a club other than your own. This is a perfect example. You think, bloody hell, they've got that done quickly. Yeah. And then it just rumbles on for weeks and weeks and weeks because they take ages.
Completely, yeah. I mean, Mbeumo, as we've mentioned before, that would be a fabulous signing for Manchester
United.
Would. Like that would
really would.
With Cunha and Mbeumo in there.
Two of the best players in the Premier League last season.
That
if that doesn't work, then you truly have to
Just
think
fold the club.
You're cursed.
Yeah.
Like you're actually cursed if that doesn't work.
Yeah, totally, yeah. And I think it would work in the system, blah, 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 blah. Let's see if they get him, though, because old Thomas the Frank engine at Spurs might fancy a bit of that.
He might do, but
Let's be honest, he really would fancy a bit of that. So we shall see. But do you go to the side who are in the Champions League, or do you go to the side who may well find a way to get into the Club World Cup soon enough? I don't know. Now, let's move on to John Textor. Apparently, he's sold his shares in Crystal Palace. New York Jets owner Woody Johnson has signed a legally binding contract. We are led to believe to buy John Textor's 43% stake in Crystal Palace. The deal is reportedly worth £190 million. That values the club as a whole at approximately £442 million. It's uncertain whether Textor's sale will boost Palace's hopes of playing in the Europa League next season. I would imagine it would, surely. That was the sticking point,
That was
right?
the whole problem.
Indeed, but maybe there's deadlines and so on, and blah, 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 blah. Just to give you a little bit of background, though, Crystal Palace fans, on who Woody Johnson is. Between 2017 and 2021, he was the US ambassador to the UK, appointed by Donald Trump.
yeah.
So one in, one out.
Is it definitely that Woody Johnson? Because Woody Johnson sounds like the sort of name you might make up if you're doing like a prank call. Are we sure it's not John Textor again doing a Chelsea?
Hey, Woody Johnson here.
Selling his shares to himself.
Well, he's a fascinating creature, is this fella? Because obviously
Woody Johnson?
Yes,
Johnson.
Woody,
Oh,
Woody
right.
Johnson, not John Textor. Well, he is.
Who's also
He's also
fascinating.
fascinating as well. But obviously, Woody Johnson owns the NFL team, the New York Jets. Now, he didn't sign an NFL player because his teenage sons said that his Madden rating wasn't high enough. And the Jets are apparently a load of toilet, and this isn't great for the club.
Yeah, I was about to say Crystal Palace, careful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
careful what you wish for.
this is it, because this sale has been enforced and has happened very, very quickly. You do worry that he's not necessarily going to be a great fit. Presumably they would have done as much due diligence as possible.
You'd think, Jim.
In a week.
But Steve Parish seems pretty on it with that sort of stuff. So
You'd think.
Hopefully this will be okay.
Okay. Well,
See how that one pans out. See how Jim's hope.
Yeah, well, what about this then,
Hands
Jim?
out.
So John Textor, of course, owns seven-time French champions Lyon, which caused the conflict with Palace. Well, Lyon have been officially relegated to League 2.
John,
Yes.
you're so bad at this.
They were told earlier this year that if their financial situation didn't improve, they would be relegated. So they stood their ground. And their ground has been taken to League 2. It's mad that Lyon have been relegated for that. I mean, they're a huge club. They're the best club in France easily for a period.
And pre-PSG, they were a sort of fixture of the Champions League knockout stages, and so many great players came through there. And do you remember they were an absolute nightmare to deal with, famously, when clubs tried to sign players from them, and they were really admirable in that sense. And it's... For I suppose people of our age, they were this fixture and a kind of really interesting club that everybody kind of liked.
Yeah,
and it's such a shame that that because of this kind of mismanagement that they're now being relegated.
It is the mismanagement. It's not as if, like we see Spurs and Manchester United. Well, people might say they're mismanaged. It's not in the same stratosphere as this.
More of a footballing story for those two, isn't it?
Yeah, so they've been poor on the pitch as well. If it was a case that Lyon have just had a nightmare, they've been bad, they've just been a bit crap, and over the years they've drifted and down they go. That can happen. When you say, but 15 years ago they won the league. Well, a lot can happen in 15 years in football or whatever. This is not that. This is. We always say it, don't we? But it's becoming a little bit more common.
They finished sixth. Sixth in Ligue 1.
And down they go.
And they're bringing themselves down to Andy Carroll's level, you would suggest.
Well,
yeah.
So maybe he'll be appearing there.
I think he's done, isn't he? I think didn't he finish?
Is he done?
Yeah.
Is he actually retired?
Yeah, we had a message.
Shame.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
But that's another story from French football with Bordeaux going all the way down. Crazy. I know Lyon. It's just one relegation, but still, a club that's I can't. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Oh dear. Right, let's move on. Something closer to home. Cardiff City. Have you seen that Gareth Bale said he's interested in being a part of a bid to buy Cardiff City?
Yes, please.
I think Cardiff City fans can understandably be excited about this because Vincent Tan's still their owner.
Yeah, it's easy to forget that if you don't think about Cardiff City that often, isn't it? And because obviously you think of Tan changing the colour of the kit and then changing it back and just being a bit slightly kind of ridiculous figure, but he's been really absent. Has been quite combative and takes criticism really badly even when it's fair, and has turned on the fans in that regard as well, and he's been a disaster for them.
It's been a bit of a shit show. I mean, they were relegated obviously this season, and the fans have been protesting against him. They were protesting against his ownership of the club before the South Wales derby this year, and I think that the thought of having a player like Bale, who, need I say more, who's a part of it, and of course he'd be the sort of the celebrity face of it. You would think, and do these things always work out? Blah 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 blah. We want to give it a go because Tan has just been so shit.
I think Vincent Tan could probably hide an entire golf club set in his trousers.
Yes,
because they're very big, very tall.
And of course, if Gareth Bale did turn Cardiff City's pitch into a golf course, then I think they'd be right to want Tan back.
Right to complain.
I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
I think a lot needs to happen for that to happen. I don't think any of it will happen. And I would like to see Bale and this consortium or this group try and wrestle the club away from Tan. Although it was rejected.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah, well, quite literally, yeah.
One might suggest
stripped to the waist, although Tan's trousers, he wouldn't be to the waist.
It's a less romantic story because football's quite a nice place to put your money these days, and it's kind of opportunistic. They've just gone down. I don't know. It doesn't always work out that well, this sort of thing.
Well, yeah. One man's dirty little businessman is another man's Robin Hood.
One man's Wrexham and another man's Leon, as they say.
Both in their second tiers, of course, respectively. All right, coming up after this, controversy in the Veterans Bundesliga and the best game that you might ever see in the under-19 Euros. Now, gentlemen, it's transfer season. How about this? Galatasaray are reportedly keen on signing Aaron Ramsdale.
Yes.
That's lovely.
It is. There appear to be three options, which is Galatasaray, seems weird, Leeds, good fit, West Ham, chaos. Go to Galatasaray.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, apparently Ramsdale, he's got a £20 million relegation release clause in his contract. Clever. Which is now...
Why do you want that, Aaron? Don't worry about it. Don't worry. Can I just have it in there? I'm not coming unless that's in there.
It's now active.
It's now active. It's activated.
Been active since about October last year. But yes, so that's in play.
Do you not think that Skin will not fare well under that hot sun, and also he gets very distracted by the crowd, and the crowd are very, very distracting.
Yeah, true. Do you know what? I think he'd love it there for the crowd because he loves. So he'd
bring his own flares.
He would. That was the Leeds United when he played for Arsenal. That was the time, I think, when Arsenal won like 4-0 or 4-1 there. As they always seem to do at Ellen Road in my eyes, or in my mind. He was like dancing in front of the fans. Do you remember that time with the Leeds fans? And then I remember Ian Wright reposted it on Twitter, as it probably was back then, and said, "Oh man, I really missed this from playing." Like taunting the fans.
Yeah, very Ian Wright coded.
Yes, I think the Leeds United fans may remember that.
Yeah, but I think that would be part of the fun, though. Really.
If he became one of theirs, then I think they would. I could see that.
I put it to you, Marcus. Can you establish yourself as England's number one if you're the Galatasaray goalkeeper? Which will probably be in his thinking.
Well, I think that being number one for England is probably a step too far at the moment for Aaron Ramsdale, because Pickford is clearly the number one, and I think Dean Henderson now, I think we'd all agree, is probably the number two. I think he could definitely get back in the team. I think that they would probably want to pick Ramsdale. I mean James Trafford, though, if that move does go through to Newcastle, which one would think it would,
he'll be out
as well. Yeah, but if you're Aaron Ramsdale, okay, you could go to Leeds and West Ham, and clearly you're there in front of the manager, and you can see he's going to see you more often. But at Leeds and West Ham, if West Ham are anything to go by, the jury's out on what Potter can do there. And I could just see them having another kind of mediocre season. I hope not, because, they deserve a bit better, you would argue. Leeds are a promoted side. Again, Leeds, I think, are more equipped for the Premier League than Southampton were, right? Galatasaray, you go from a side who were
They do well in the Championship. They would do well in the Championship.
That's right. Southampton were historically bad, okay, in the Premier League. You could potentially go to a side who are the champions of the country, where they're very, very passionate about their football. I understand it's not as good as the Premier League, but you'd be playing Champions League football, which is the highest level of football you can play.
It's the Premier League
as well.
It's the,
you get 8 leagues.
Exactly. It's the Premier League plus 5 years, isn't it, really? It's like when you're a Premier League star plus 5 years, you go to Galatasaray.
That's
you
it.
go to Turkey. So,
Yeah, there you go, you see. So I think, but also as well for him, getting back in the England squad would be an achievement. And he would be, I think if he was playing regularly and he was playing well, then definitely there's that number 3, dare I even say number 2 spot if other goalkeepers.
If Tuchel's still in charge, he'll put anyone in there.
Well, that he's, he's including people who are playing in Saudi, then Turkey's not a problem. But obviously the Turkish league is a better standard than the Saudi league. But just for him, though, Jim, playing kind of fantasy football in my mind's eye and thinking about it, as I say, playing in front of those crowds, you'd feel like you're at the biggest club in the world there, or one of them, you know what I mean, with that crowd and the sense of occasion. You get to mug off Mourinho, which he'd love to do.
Is that not a dangerous game
playing
to
with
play in
fire?
your own head?
Yeah, but he's at Galatasaray, so he's at the safest place possible to do that. As I say, playing Champions League on the big nights and so on, I don't know. I'd love to see him go there. I think it'd be brilliant.
I think if you play for Leeds, you're less likely to get flack from Mourinho than if you play for Galatasaray. Just want that on record.
All right, fine. But go on, Aaron.
Do it.
Do the daring thing. Oh dear. Before we get to the under-19 Euros madness, I just want to say that Paul Pogba has apparently agreed to join AS Monaco. Hasn't played since September 2023. He's out in America at the moment with Juventus.
Watch your hams. Watch your hams for crying out loud.
I hope he's been exercising.
Yeah.
He's not just been eating crisps, sat on the sofa.
I don't think he has been doing that, Jim. That's a lovely old job, isn't it, to get yourself back up and running?
Absolutely.
Monaco, we're better. Right, let's talk about the chaos in the under-19s Euros semi-final between Spain and Germany. It ended 6-5 for crying out loud. The game included a missed penalty, a truly dreadful own goal right at the death, a goal straight from a corner, 3 goals in stoppage time, 4 goals in extra time, and a 119th minute winner. Sensational scenes.
It really was.
Yeah.
Why else would we be talking about it?
I mean,
it was great. The goal from the corner was brilliant because it hit the post and went in as well, which is just aesthetically so pleasing.
The goalkeeper.
Go and watch the highlights. What I found funny though is when Germany go 2-1 up with about 13 minutes of normal time to go, they do kind of like a big celebration as you would expect. Watching the highlights, you're thinking, "Oh, lads, this most of the goals still haven't happened in this game."
That's the youthful exuberance, though, right?
Well,
you don't want to take that away from
But
them.
every time someone goes a goal up, they celebrate as if they've won the game.
Yeah,
like
great.
you should have learned by now that this is not it.
The great thing is because they're so young, they're all doing bundles at every opportunity.
Bundle!
You are lighter at that age.
Exactly.
If I bundled someone, they'd probably die.
No, you're all right.
Nah.
Yeah. Well, I think it's well worth a turn if you read that.
And there was Pablo Garcia and a German player called Max Moisted, both got hat-tricks. Garcia got 4, and there was a player called Jan Virgili, who looks a real prospect.
Yes, he does.
Scored a lovely goal and got a brilliant assist for those last 2 Spanish goals, and he's in Barcelona's B team at the moment. He looked fantastic.
Spanish age cap level team
Just
impresses
keeps going.
and looks like they've got some tasty players for the future. Yeah, very, very. Yeah, how unpredictable. Speaking of age cap tournaments, England play Netherlands today at 5:00 in the semi of the under-21s. So watch Lee Carsley's Cavaliers there. Now,
Some doing the school run.
yes, there you go.
You're going to be sat at home in a dark room watching it.
Oh dear. Well, let's talk about the Veterans Bundesliga controversy, Pete Donaldson. Union Berlin are filing a protest about potential, and I have to say the word potential, although,
Got deep pockets, that Union Berlin under-50s league. Team.
Yeah, about a potential match fixing in the Veterans Berlin under-50s league.
Under-50s.
Brilliant, isn't it? Is that Thomas Muller turning it?
Is that the final age group?
Yeah. Harry Kane's top scorer in the league. They appear to be suggesting that their city rivals Hertha Berlin lost on purpose on the final day to get them relegated. SD Croatia were the other team trying to avoid relegation and needed to win by 6 goals to overtake them. SD Croatia was 6-4 down with 15 minutes left versus second place Hertha Berlin. And you think to yourself, the job's done. Incredibly, in that last 15 minutes, SD Croatia, who were on for relegation, managed to overturn it against second place Hertha Berlin and win 12-6. From 6-4 down, they won 12-6.
Can that happen at that level, though?
Yeah,
creaking knees.
I've played in, conditions where the last 10 minutes are very different from the first.
Yeah.
Jim.
Come on.
Marcus.
Union ended up going down on goal difference by 1 goal.
If they've done that, if they're guilty of that, it's so funny and so worth it.
Yeah.
2 words for you. Machine and police.
Yeah. It does sound amazing and unlikely.
It's
but
outrageous.
15 minutes left. Get this up. The match is running an hour long. That's even worse think about it.
When the match observer, Kurt Schmisowski, was asked whether he had noticed any possible match fixing, he said, "I can only say that everything was done legally."
Good for you, Kurt.
Yeah.
Well done, Kurt.
No goals are illegal.
Anyway, let's move on swiftly. The last thing we're going to talk about today is the film Saipan, the film that we all wanted and needed in our lives.
Pete's Film Club is back.
Bloody hell. The trailer for the film about the Saipan incident between Roy Keane and Mick McCarthy has been released. Oh, dear. A film. A whole film.
It's just
not a short film.
I was watching football at this point in time, and I don't remember it being that big.
Oh, it was big.
I remember it being on BBC News, but it's not worth a fucking film.
I think in Ireland it was obviously a gigantic deal.
Yeah, but I mean, like they're going after what the bountiful, tricky Irish market with this.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? It's not, population wise.
Yeah, it simply doesn't need to be a film. But that doesn't mean we can't enjoy it.
But Steve Coogan is playing Mick McCarthy.
Yeah,
he loves it though. It's just any impression.
He'll do any film. If it's longer than half an hour, he'll do it.
It's a less heavy topic than the Jimmy Savile one he did.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a less heavy topic than anything he's done, isn't it?
Yeah.
Although it's still a heavy topic though for some people.
Sure. For one man.
2 men.
All right. 2 men.
Yeah. So Coogan's playing McCarthy.
Are they going for the market of people who hate Roy Keane?
It must be.
It's a bit My Night with Gary Lineker, isn't it? It's a bit like it should be a theatre production rather than a film.
What, An Evening with Gary Lineker?
Is that what it was called?
That was a film, though,
yes,
back in the day.
It was a TV film, wasn't it?
TV film, yeah.
Did that not start as a theatre production? And then
I think you're right, yeah.
Can't remember.
I feel like this should have been in the theatre first, and then with Steve Coogan in it, and then even though his whenever he's in something live, it always seems like he cancels gigs and stuff because he's not very well or something. And it's just like, I'm just annoyed because he cancelled a gig I wanted to go and see.
Oh, that's a shame. But Pulp didn't cancel, and that was the big one.
They didn't. Good point.
Well, apparently Coogan spoke to Mick McCarthy after being cast to make sure it was a balanced depiction of the fallout. So
brave.
So yes,
my balanced depiction.
It's going to be released later this summer. It's the summer blockbuster. I think it's a
summer bollocks buster.
We're all going to watch it. Let's be honest.
I'm not.
All right.
The only way that I will watch this is if I get some hint that this means Roy Keane is now going to enter some other cinematic universe.
Right.
If this ends with Roy Keane in like Superman or the Avengers, then great.
Sticking him up with Superman's iron bollocks.
Exactly.